Hello, worldly crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games, and welcome back to making 3D wizard games in Game Maker. Last time, I implemented about half of what I like to call seesaw platforms. The idea being that you can push a block or something onto one of these platforms, and then it will move and tilt, and you may or may not be able to use that to your advantage, puzzle-wise. And let's see. Today I'm gonna do the second half of that, so it works visually. We've got the platforms and whatnot being drawn in the correct locations, and if it rotates, that the platforms will have their positions drawn accordingly. It doesn't have any collision, so I can just walk through it and all that. And I think today is going to be all about getting collision to work. So unfortunately, this won't just be as easy as calling the update collision positions method as I've been doing for like a bunch of the other, things in the game, because let's see, there's going to be a couple different collision objects, which is fine enough, but I'm going to need to be able to do different things to them. So for example, we have the the pivot point, which is just a regular object. In fact, I should probably just make this like the the set mesh object so that I can like that, so that I can just automatically handle it, update collision positions and whatnot. But I'm also going to need to make sure that any and all rotations, alright, I can probably close a bunch of these now because they're not super relevant at the moment. Any and all rotations are respected when it comes to the collisions and translations and just how they're transformed in space, right? And I think the easiest way to do that would be in the draw event for this thing. We're calculating a bunch of matrices. We're doing a bunch of matrix multiplies and other things like that. And I think the easiest way to do this would be to calculate the matrices in the actual step event and save them for later. And then, in the step event, we can use them to assign collision use them to assign collision positions and whatnot. Alright, so that's set mesh. Right now, can I just get one for free, for completely free, if I were to call that afterwards? Would I at least be able to collide with the base of the seesaw thing? Probably should have tested this before. Alright, I am. So that's good at least. Alright, so that's 25% of the work. It's really probably more like 5% of the work, but we'll call it 25% of the work. So I'm also going to need a collision object for the seesaw, the mesh block left and right. And these aren't ever going to move. They're not ever going to be repositioned in space unless I do something really bad and screw up the code really badly. So I don't have to worry about that, but in the tilt left and tilt right states, I will need to update the positions of these three things. So what exactly am I doing when I okay, so it's just push an object onto the shapes array, push an object onto the objects array, and then, alright, that's all that is. And because I have the memory of a goldfish. Okay, so we are recreating, the shape from, oh, that's gonna be such a pain. How much of this could be, abstracted? So if I were to take the shape data from what's loaded to the file from the 3D, the 3D model file, I can turn that into, at the very least, a call sphere or a call ob, and return those two things. Okay, if I just go and create myself another script. All right, let's call it just call shape from penguin. That's going to be a little helper script here. And Open parent event. All right, so the when you just say show parent event, it opens read only, which is fine, I guess, but gotta keep which one I'm doing straight. So we'll shape data, mask, group. Those are some of the parameters to this function. All right, we're gonna check for special objects here. That all makes sense. We can turn like the position and radius and whatever information into a sphere, or the orientation and translation information into an ob. We can keep this comment about turning it into a capsule if we want, but I don't know if I want to do that. And then return shape. And then we can say, instead of all of what I just did, shape equals call shape from penguin, like that, with a mask in the group. Thank you, Feather. Oh, wait a minute. What are these actually used for? Those aren't actually... Okay, so what I should probably do instead is return a struct of the shape data, shape mask, shape group, because the shape mask and the shape group could be set to either what like the default is, or what if one of these special special activation things, if one of those was triggered. So shape dot shape mask, shape dot shape group. So at least now I can say like shape seesaw equals the shape data can be, I think it's just this dot like collision shapes or something like that. Yeah, dot collision shapes index whatever. We'll just hardcode index 0 for now. The mask can be the mask in the group can be the default. And then we can say C object seesaw equals new call object. The reference really could just be self. The mask and I do appreciate that Feather is at least now good enough that it can do stuff like what I just did just there, because that saved me some time. I probably also would want to do something like update, generalize the update collision positions like this, because that's also going to be a whole thing, but I'll get to that in a minute. Shape block left. And shape block right. How do you spell the word right? I don't think that's not right, I don't think. So they do have, each of these, or at least the two blocks, do have extra collision things, and those are for like the activation zones, so that if something lands on it, they'll move. But we'll get to that in a minute. Next, when it comes to updating collision positions, there's all this. So we have our object transform. We have If we are looking at an ob, okay, so we're keeping track of the original size, original position, original orientation, and that kind of thing. And okay, so let me go into here again. Say call shape update position, and I think the two parameters for that are going to be the object itself and the object transform. So, like that. And I don't think I'm gonna need to do anything weird with anything else related to, you know, the object array or anything like that. I think can I just call this like transform matrix or something? Because I doubt I'm gonna remember what object transform is without looking at it. Anyway, I think I should just be able to call a call shape update position on, like, any of these, right? On any shape now. If I run the game now, everything should behave as it did before. And if it's a little slower to run right now, that's probably because I'm rendering a Golden Sun video in the background. That you didn't like that for whatever reason. Okay. What did I change? Oh, shape.shape, probably. And we're also going to have to make sure that we're referencing the right thing. Different error this time. So, why is mesh block left not set before reading it again exactly? Oh, right, like... Okay. Changing the wrong variable names. That would definitely cause the game to break. But, like, the thing I'm trying to do here works, right? If I run into that, we can still climb on things, we can still push things around. You should be able to stop when you hit the wall, right? This makes sense. Okay? That one is getting blocked by the, help. Alright, goodbye. That one was getting blocked by the treasure chest. But, like, everything works. And, I still would like to know, like, why that spell is, like, off-center, but whatever. From here, that should make it easier, and I'm gonna go and find my source control. Where's my source control? Alright, it took me way too long to find this repository in my list of GitHub repositories because I just have way too many of them at this point, but let's make that a commit because I haven't been very good about that recently in the last couple of videos. And I should be able to maybe not here, but in the step event, after we're going to calculate all of these matrices, I should be able to just calculate all their positions based on like where they are visually in the world. So firstly, I'm going to have a couple of matrices that I'm going to need to calculate, and we can put that in, I think, the in the step event. You know what? If I were to, make that a method. Oh, so much code. But if I were to make this a method, we could say that, for example, the... that's our base matrix, so our XYZ multiplied into a rotation matrix, which is just our rotation. We could also have matrix underscore seesaw. And that could be... Okay, so page up and page down are pertaining to, like, the debug commands for forcing the seesaw into a certain position. Anyway, that's going to be the matrix of the seesaw. We're also going to want matrix block left and matrix block right. I should probably... Should I let those default to undefined or just like the identity matrix? Because I kind of want, if something in here goes wrong, I do kind of want it to crash when we try to do things with undefined, because that would make it easier to find where the problem is versus if they all just draw at the world origin. So I think I'll let it crash if they are all undefined for any reason. Anyway, the block left can be this. Don't need the actual drawing to happen here, and the block right can be the last one here. And again, we don't need any actual drawing to happen. And then in the actual draw event, matrix base is where we can just draw the regular one, the pivot thing. Matrix seesaw can be you know, words, the seesaw. I'll keep the debug code here just for now. I should probably put that somewhere else, but for now I'll just keep it there. Before I run it, I'll put it somewhere else that makes more sense. But first I want to finish writing this. This really could be cleaned up a little bit, but I'll get to that at some other point. Why don't you like that? Oh, undefined appears where real is expected. That's because they're initialized to undefined, and Feather doesn't realize that it's going to be set later. In Feather's defense, I haven't actually called the code that sets it later anywhere, but let's see. Next, I'm going to call, what was it? Update all, calculate all positions. Like this. I'm going to call that in the update method for all three states. I think I'm also going to actually put the page up and page down code here. When we do that, I'm also going to want, what was it, call update, call shape update position, or call, what was it? I just wrote it. Call object update position is what it really should be. But we're going to call object update position on a couple different shapes. So one might be C object underscore seesaw with the transform matrix being this. Another object might be C object block left and C object block right. And hopefully, and again, this might not be the most efficient way to do things, but I just want to see if it works now. Hopefully it doesn't blow up as soon as the game starts, which is always the risk of happening. Okay. We still collide with the base thing. I can climb on top of the... I cannot climb on top of the seesaw. Okay. Can I climb on top of that platform? I cannot climb on top of that platform. They are being drawn in the right place. And I see that at the very least, something there's some collision shape here. And I don't know what exactly it is or why it's there. I feel like the seesaw itself is like about like this long. I feel like that's in the wrong place. We'll figure that out. Alright, but anyway, it's a start. So another thing that I thought about doing and I didn't do yet, but we can debug draw, what is it, debug cube, debug sphere. We can debug draw a bunch of our shapes. This is in the draw event for the regular, like, base 3D object. It's not anywhere else, so I could do something very similar, and call object debug draw, which I think I'll do. Let's see. Okay, so the loop itself should probably be like this. And then we can call that function. See, there's a stray curly brace. The variable called object transform is just like the matrix, you know. Completely blanked on that for some reason. This down here, anything where the self dot variable is referenced. I feel like I'm gonna want to be careful with that, but I'll let it be. Let's see, so call object debug draw. If I go into the draw event for the seesaw, we can do this manually. C object index 0 is just the main one. We've also got the call seesaw, or C object seesaw, C object block left, C object block right, we can do the if else there. Okay. So now if I do debug draw all this. Oh, you know what? I might not need the matrix seesaw and matrix block left and matrix block right for all that, but I might just need the base matrix. Hang on, let me see. The F1 key is what I'm looking for. Okay, so according to this, well, one, there's like the wrong model being drawn here, but according to this, they are at least in the right place, which is not what I expected. Let me see. I feel like okay, so I am assigning at least some of the wrong shapes here. We are using the seesaw collision object for things that we shouldn't be. Alright, so they are being drawn in the right place. Oh, okay. So that's all the problem was accidentally like trying to use the seesaw collision shape for things instead of like the actual ones that I wanted. Now if I hit page up and page down. Okay, so it's hard to see me going up in the air because I'm just like hovering over the void, so it doesn't actually look like I'm going anywhere, but alright, so wow, I didn't expect this to put up so little of a fight here. And it works with the slope. That's good. I do kind of bounce down the slope. I don't know how well this would behave if this was at, like, rotated around the vertical axis at like a 10-degree angle or something, because in some of my earlier tests that's when things get funny. But let's see, these don't have bottoms, do they? I probably won't ever do that. Like, most things in this game are probably going to be orthogonal to the world. But I didn't expect that to work so easily without something putting up a fight. Now, my next order of business is going to be to get rid of all of this and have the tilt state change based on like the actual collision like shapes on top of the platforms, right? So firstly, let me commit changes. So we're gonna debug draw collision on the Seesaw, and next, it was just the pound activation, right? Oh, I really need to clean up how this is, how this like stores projects, but that's a topic for another day. So if I look at the collision shapes, it is just pound activation. Okay. Let's call it C object activation left. Oh. Why is thinking of variable names so hard? Array search by name, was it? What do we want the collision mass to be here? It'll set it itself, right? So I can just probably put in anything, right? I'll just default these both to default so that it'll handle it for me. String appears where a struct is expected. No, it isn't. Why do you think a struct is expected? That is being weird. Anyway, new call object. Shape activation left. Shape. Shape activation left. Dot shape mask. Shape activation left. Dot shape group. I'm going to want an activation for the right thing too. I don't understand this error. String appears where type struct is expected. Where is a struct expected? Like, I feel like this is very... Oh, it doesn't anywhere actually say that it's supposed to be a string, does it? Someday I'll make a video on Feather and using Feather to actually, like, your advantage, but first I think Feather needs to be a little bit more stable for that to happen. I did just say, like, a couple of minutes ago that it's actually reliable enough for me to actually use, but still, it does do some weird things, and I don't want to have to answer a bunch of comments on a video like that where people say, Feather is saying this, but I know it's right, and I'm just have to be like, yeah, I know Feather's kind of broken like that. I'd love to make videos on Feather, because it can do some interesting things, but it's not quite there yet. Anyway, I'm also going to want to update the collision positions of the activation left and activation right. And I think, like here, can I just say if obj, what was it? Obj world, obj game? No, obj game dot collision dot check object. Can I just check the activation left and activation right objects and say like left platform, right platform. And okay, so it's always detecting something, which I don't really want. I don't know if that's because the Seesaw is just like barely touching it. Oh, you know what? I know why it's probably doing that, and it's not because of the Seesaw. It's probably because like the block itself, the collision shape, the regular geometry collision shape for the block itself is there in the way overlapping it. Activation is used in a couple of places, isn't it? Yeah. Is there any particular reason I'm not using array search by name here? Because that would just be, you know, more convenient and less weird. But anyway. I feel like... Alright, so mask is things that I can collide with. No, group is things that I can collide with. Mask is things that can collide with me. So... Alright, Golden Sun finished rendering, so hopefully that'll make things go a little bit faster. So thinking about it for a minute, I decided that probably the best way, or at least the least bad way to handle this would be to, like with the player's climb detector, which is the nose thingy up here. If I press my face up to something that's climbable, I climb. It would be not a bad idea for me to have a, like another special collision type thing, like below the player's feet for some kind of activation zone. This could be... Okay, 32, 32, I guess. Alright, that's the half size. This could be a... just another one of these. It could have a special name, so pound activation. Or activate or. Because the other one is activation. And then things like things that have this collision shape will respond to, for example, barrels. And I don't think there's anything else. So if there's anything else that I want to be able to respond to pushing things onto it, then I can just give it one of those. All right. Oh, telephone, go away. I don't care. Meshes. Let's see. So the player, the same way that we have a C object climb, I can do the same thing for I don't need the original position. Pressure plate activators. Let's see. Make use of this activator shape. Don't need climb shape. Do I? Oh, right. C object activator. And then... So where is this, Okay, so this is only, like, actually done when, handle climbing is called, so... Can I just, like, in one of the player's step events... Why is this end step? Why isn't this, like, regular step event? I don't know why I did that. Anyway, where was I going with this? So, can I just, like, update my activator position? Like this. This is another thing that's looking like it's getting to the point of, like, we really need a less stupid way to do this, but, activator position. I don't actually need to check for collisions there yet. I just need to update the collision position. All right, so in that case, I can just call this in, like, the regular state machine. Okay, not going to do climbing, bounce when you're in the bounce state. Really, this is only going to happen when you're actually on the ground, like when you can, like, walk around. Like that. And then there's the, like, the generic ones. So if we say activation... Okay, so I think by this point it's pretty clear that I need to refactor things like collision masks and groups and whatnot so that it's easier for me to keep them straight up at some point, probably soon. But obj game.collision.add, or I should first say .remove the activator object, and then we can re-add it, because this isn't actually being added to the world anywhere when I was going and checking for collisions with things. So that's another problem. And then, of course, there's a whole soup made out of the masks and the groups and whatnot. But first, I think I need to make sure that this is working. I also had I was also checking for the left platform twice instead of the left one and the right one. But anyway, now we're detected as standing on the left one. Now we're detected as standing on the right one. Okay. Let's see if I can real quick go back and clean up some of my spaghetti first. So I think the activation, so the thing that I'm going to need to be able to climb on, I'm going to want to set the mask for that. And I'm going to want to set the group for the activate or. Just copying some of my previously written code for things like the climb activator, activation, whatever. Regular NPCs don't have that, just the player. I think there was some other silliness there. So this is the thing, the activate or, so that's going to need to have a group set. Not that the mask really matters here, because we're not having it actively collide with anything. But, alright, did I want it the other way around? The other thing I could do, I guess I did have it backwards apparently. The other thing I could do is do a unity with their physics layer matrix and just define that bunch of checkboxes. That might be a better visual way of doing this, but really? Alright, has to be in that order, that's fine. I can make do with that. Let's see, the next thing that I'd like to do is, how do I test this with, actually, wait. Before I test this with anything else, let me go and have this fire if something were to land on me. by calling a function called handle, by calling a method, yeah, called handle activation. And then self.state.change tilt underscore left. Otherwise, we can tilt right. It's not going to quite be this simple. I'm going to first figure out if there's anything on the left platform. Then going to figure out if there is anything on the right platform. If is left and is right. So if there's something on both platforms or neither platform, so if not is left or is right, then actually, should I clean that up? All right, logic. Who is that? De Morgan's rule. So if is left and not is right, then we can tilt to the left. Else if is right and not is left, we can tilt to the right. And if neither of those is true, this is just easier to read. We can change to balanced. Okay. Nope. Oh, this isn't being called again. So let's call handle activations in all three of the events. I know it's impossible to define like a default event, and I probably should be doing that, but I'm lazy. I forget exactly how. I want to say there's a method called like add default event or something like that in Snow State. So Han, if you're watching this, I'm sorry for making a mess of your system. That's the other way around. Okay. All that really tells me is that the angles are reversed. So this kind of breaks because, let's see. First, it would be a lot cleaner if we couldn't like change state mid activation. So like if you're in the middle of a transition, don't attempt to check again if you should tilt. That was the wrong thing. Like this. We'll unmagic numberify that too while we're at it. Okay, so we're only going to move and recalculate our positions if we've reached our left or right state. I've got another thing in mind. I'm not entirely sure how it'll feel. Okay, so it still feels like I'm like bouncing a little, but I feel like it was a lot more vibraty. Oh, you know what? Because of the fact that this tilts faster than gravity, it was okay. I know why it's doing that. The way to, or at least a way to deal with that would be the same as dealing with like moving up and down platforms, dealing with the player like bouncing off of it constantly, and like how the player snap to the, or whatever's on top of it snap to the surface. But first, the other thing I had in mind is actually not allowing the thing to go back into the balanced state unless there's actually something on both of these. And that way, like, if I just step off, like, if I'm standing on one of the platforms, right, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for, like, when I step off for it to rebalance. You'd think I would have to, like, actually go stand on the other one before it does that. And okay, that actually took care of the same problem without me having to do anything there. Okay. I think I like that solution better. Can I like abuse that by like jumping off of it right before it tilts? I don't think I actually can. That feels like one of those tricks that speedrunners would try and make use of. That's about as good as I can do. All right, that's neat. So the next thing I want to do is just drop like a block on it and make sure that it also works with blocks. And probably next I should make sure that like if something like a block is on one of the platforms, that will weigh it down more than the player. Because I want, if there's a block on the other, if there's a block on the other end, I want the player to not tilt the seesaw when they run over to the other one, and that way they can use it for getting around levels. Let's see. How long is this? So I'm gonna want to move this 32, 64. So when I spawn in Seesaw, gonna want it 164, 0, -300, OBJ 3D block. And just because, let's do obey gravity, shall we? Where is it? Are you in the wrong place? Where did you spawn? It was in the wrong place, of course. Apparently these don't obey gravity. Did I not make blocks obey gravity? How could I? Apparently I didn't make blocks obey gravity. Alright. Let's make blocks obey gravity. Where is that handled in NPCs, actually? Alright, everything has a Y speed, but only NPCs apparently are actually doing anything with it. That's great. Oh man. Unfortunately, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. And I have to go in a little bit. So I might have to cut the recording here, and because I want to finish this in this video, I might have to come back to this tomorrow. Ugh. Why did I not make gravity work for just everything automatically? And it is me from the future. There were a series of unforeseen problems that caused this video to go on for far longer than it had to, so I'm going to make the executive decision to cut it in half and not upload a video that's like an hour and a half long. So this is not quite going according to plan, but sometimes game dev be like that, so what can you do? Next video I will finish it up, and hopefully within the next few weeks I shall clean up some of the mess that I made in this little session here. But anyway, my name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. If you want the code for this, look for the GitHub repository down in the video description. Look for the 0.40 release for what we got done today. I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week, 1 tutorial, and 1 of this monstrosity, so if any of that appeals to you, feel free to subscribe. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute to the channel, links to that can be found in all the usual places. You should all go wishlist Wizarducks if you haven't already. The Steam page can be found down in the video description as well. I hope you all found this interesting, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, VitroV, Squarecrow, Manta Ray, Game Maker, Edward Holt, and DJ Gibbles for supporting these videos. If you want to contribute to the channel, head on over to the Patreon page down in the